Selamat pagi! Good morning everyone, Kenneth here. And today, I've been using this phone for the past 2 weeks. Now, I'm ready to tell you my thoughts. This is my review of the Redmi K20 Pro. Before starting, I want to tell you one thing that you should remember for the rest of the video. This is very important, and that is the price. The Redmi K20 Pro starts at $24.99 for its base model of 6GB of RAM plus 64GB of storage, up to $29.99 for the maxed out model with 8GB of RAM plus 256GB of storage, which is the one I have right here. You won't get these kind of very low prices in online stores such as AliExpress, but it's pretty reasonable too. $450 up to $540 USDs. That is still cheaper than a OnePlus 7 Pro. Granted, this is not as cheap as the Pocophone F1 from last year, but this thing packs so much more quality materials compared to Pocophone that really it's worth its asking price. I have three main things to talk about in this video: power, display, and some downsides. Let's talk about power first. The Redmi K20 Pro has top-of-the-line octa-core Snapdragon 855 with Adreno 640, basically the processor of the year, and to back that up, a huge 4000 mAh battery inside a package that is actually smaller than a plus-sized iPhone. Especially, it is less wide, which makes it really comfortable to hold with one hand. The heat management here is super good too. In my charging test video, I tried to play PUBG 5 hours straight and it never felt too hot. It might be a little bit warmer close to the volume area here, but there is no one point where it is super hot. Super hot. Super hot. And I also want to bring up the performance too. In my day-to-day use, this thing kills everything that you throw at it. In PUBG, I maxed out the settings and the frame rates are always rock solid. Even at the end of testing, when the phone's battery is almost out, the phone is at its hottest point, performance is still not an issue. And remember, I played PUBG for almost 5 hours on this thing for the battery to die. This battery is insane. And I was insane for testing that out too. Then when it comes to charging the battery, although this doesn't support wireless charging, this thing supports fast wired charging. And thanks to Qualcomm Quick Charge 4.0 Plus, it supports up to 27 watts of power. But that charger is not included in the box. What you get is an 18-watt power brick. I did a video for that, links are down in the description, but after this video of course. So that's power. Basically you can throw anything at it and it will run them fast. And you can do it for the whole day too. Never before I have this much freedom in using a phone without worrying about performance or battery. This really is worth the price just by that alone. But it doesn't stop there. I always believe that experience matters more than what's written on paper. As in this case, this is a Samsung AMOLED display, 6.4 inch, 2340 by 1080p, and 401 ppi. This might not be the most pixel dense display in the world, but I never found resolution to be a problem. The type of display though does. This OLED is a really nice thing to have compared to LCDs. Blacks are not gray, there's a dark mode which you can use. This is a joy to use at night. And at daytime, peaking at 600 nits, it gets bright enough for outside use. The bezels on the sides are nicely thin, there's a cutout up top for an earpiece, and the chin is slightly thicker than the other bezels. So being a person who prefers an iPhone, I could easily say, the chin looks very ugly, but that is actually not the case. It is small enough to stay out of the way, and for you guys who hate the notch, this pop-up camera is right there, so you have this very thin bezel up top. The screen also doesn't curve, which I prefer actually. One of the benefits is I can easily put a tempered glass screen protector here. I also discovered this 24-hour wallpaper. It changes according to the time of day, similar to the one I have on my laptop here. But I always think if it's a good feature, you know, copy it. And they didn't just copy it, they improved on it. They've added this animation, especially for sunset time, which is gorgeous. Unfortunately, there's only one right now. Using the MIUI gesture system feels natural to use. Swipe up to go home, swipe and hold to go to multitask window, and swipe from any edge to go back. You know it's good design when you're so used to it and you do it on other phones too. I know, right? One thing that I discovered pretty recently though is if you hold that swipe from the side just a little bit longer, you can go to the previous app. This is one thing that I miss the most from the iPhone gesture system. At first I tried to swipe up and then swipe right or left, but nothing happened. But then I keep coming back to the settings and finally found out this setting is turned off by default. So if you're using any Xiaomi phones with gesture navigation, I highly recommend you to turn this on. By the way, I haven't talked about this in-display fingerprint scanner. It is an optical sensor, so it lights up to scan your finger. If you're worried that it will be distracting at night, I found them to be okay. Your finger covers most of the light, so it's still acceptable. It's pretty fast, pretty good. Sometimes it may slow down when my finger is slightly wet or oily or something like that. I've said this in my unboxing video, but I'll say it again. This placement of the fingerprint scanner is so good. I don't even have to take a look at it. I just know where it is pretty much, and I just like put my finger right there. It will read. It's super good. All in all, considering the price, this is just a really nice display. The only downside I could think of, this display is so big that it's sometimes kind of hard to do the gestures like that, and it's kind of tiring too, so that's not a downside. Okay, finally, this is the part where I tell you all my problems that I have with this phone. First is the default launcher. To be straight with you, I don't like it. It's an iOS wannabe, packed with Chinese stuff, but still, I tried to live with it for a week. After that, I changed to Nova Launcher. Man, now I have an Android phone. Apps are now in a drawer, there are quick actions now, and there's also this search which is way better compared to the default search. Speaking of system apps, I changed most of them. Keyboard, I changed it almost instantly. The browser especially, oh my goodness. Most of the downsides that I've talked about here is the software. That's just because how good this hardware is. If I can complain on one thing, and that is the only thing that I haven't mentioned, is the camera. Okay, so now I'm using the front camera to take video. You might notice a little shake here. That's because there is no electronic image stabilization unlike the back camera. But as you can see, the angle is pretty wide. But I'm not used to this kind of color, this kind of washed out, beautified color, even though I put all the settings on. And it is the same case for pictures too. They look beautified. Okay, so this is the 48 megapixel main camera at the back. As you can see, the video is a lot smoother. But that is electronic, it doesn't have optical image stabilization, and I still have problem with the colors. I still don't like it, but this thing has crazy fast autofocus. You can see right here, autofocus is so super fast. And this is the 2x zoom camera to get closer to your subject. In this case, this is my face. And this is the wide angle camera that I'm more interested in, so you can get the wide shots when you don't have the space to do so. This is really nice to have, but you have to know that both the wide angle and the telephoto lens are both not as good as the main shooter. So yeah, I don't dive too deep into cameras for my review, but for what I use everyday, video calls and scanning documents, I think this is a perfectly fine camera. So as a conclusion, I think this phone deserves a look. If you are buying a budget smartphone, you should take a look at this. This is a really good buy. The specs are really nice. The build quality, the screen, everything here is so nice, especially if you don't want that notch. I really don't think you can go wrong with this phone. This is the flagship killer of 2019. Okay, so that is pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching. This is my first time reviewing a phone. If I miss anything, please do comment down below and let me know so that I can improve on my reviews. As always, give it a thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't like it. Subscribe to the channel, and also affiliate links are down below if you want to help support the channel. Thank you very much. This is me, Kenneth, and I'll see you in the next video.